as if we were ever running low on hot topics in the UFC. This one's a little bit different, but still involving the main man. We've got Dana White, and I was going to say Ben Askren. I guess it involves him too, but Logan
He's there.
Paul. He is
Jake.
there. He is in the... Jake. Honestly. Remember the name Bilal Muhammad all over again.
Everyone gets them mixed up, to be fair.
I was never that huge on YouTube, so I'd never actually seen a ton of their content. So I wasn't 100% familiar with them. I knew who they were when the fight got released, but I know what's happening at the moment. But for anyone that doesn't, tell us what is going down with this ordeal.
All right. So in case you were living under a rock, you would know that Jake Paul and Ben Askren are fighting. Yeah, one of them.
A brother.
Yeah, Paul and Askren. Let's leave it at that. But Jake Paul has, and will continue to just talk shit to everyone. But Dana White doesn't have it. I love it when Savage Dana comes out. You see it when it's like the UFC versus someone else. You saw it a little bit in the Conor Floyd lead up. You're seeing it now because obviously Jake Paul's not in the UFC, but I loved it when old school Dana would just talk shit and say exactly what he's feeling. But he's a little bit more PC nowadays with the ESPN deal and things like that. But yeah, so he was on Mike Tyson's podcast with another gentleman who I don't know his name, and Dana was like, yeah, like this guy can't fight. He can't fight. And this guy was like, oh no, he's got hands. And Dana there and then was like, if he beats Ben Askren, I'll drop $1 million on it right now. So Dana just splashing the cash, said he'd bet $1 million he's going to win. Splashing the cash. So what are your thoughts on Dana White?
Firstly, it's an obscene amount of money. And we know Dana's track history. If he has a little soft spot for anything, it's not fighting, it's not combat, it's not the UFC, it's gambling. That geezer loves a flutter. I think he's even banned from a few casinos in Las Vegas. So that tells you all you need to know. It's what's that film? It's like the film 21 if you've ever seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I know what the film was.
So in terms of the fight, again, like I just said, I don't watch a ton of their content, the Paul brothers. So I'm not 100% up to date with them. I've seen a few videos of them training, but to be honest, I see more from the Ben Askren side. And we already know what he's like. He's one of the best trash talkers. Well, he's not in the UFC anymore, but was one of the best trash talkers in the UFC.
Hilarious.
He's just that guy. I was thinking about it earlier. I was in the shower. Thinking of Ben Askren. I was thinking, everyone knows a Ben Askren. Everyone knows that smart kid in the corner who always has something to say. And it's so hard, especially in his profession, it's so hard to stay in the zone and trash talk to Ben Askren when he's just sitting there, just taking a piss. He's just playing around with what you're saying. He's just, everything you say, he'll dissect and come back at another angle. Yeah. Everyone knows that guy. So I've been seeing more from his side. And I've got my own thoughts for how it's going to play out. But just quickly off the top of your dome, how are you seeing this all unravel?
So I'm not ashamed to say it, Ben Askren versus Jake Paul. I'm excited for it. I am excited for that fight. I'll watch it. It's intriguing to me. I have my thoughts on how it's going to play out, but I don't know. You have such a clash of characters and such a clash of styles and ability and everything. It's very, very interesting. I can't lie. I'm not ashamed to say it. And we need a press conference.
That's essential.
We need to get talking shit to each other as soon as possible. But in terms of the X's and O's, it really is a 50-50. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know how Ben's going to look boxing. I don't know how Jake Paul's cardio is going to hold up if it goes late. There's so many questions, but that's what makes a fight great. I'm excited. I can't lie. In case you couldn't tell.
Like kid on Christmas. The way I see it, right, is Ben Askren is an elite athlete. Now, when we talk about Ben Askren, we have to forget what everyone's thinking of. And it's hard to because we have recency bias. So all that we can see when we see Ben Askren is a knee implanted in his chin, which is extremely unfortunate, but that is the beauty of the beast in the UFC. What we cannot forget is he's wrestled at an elite level. He has fought in the UFC in mixed martial arts at an elite level. I just feel, for me, that level of competitiveness, that level of, I'm not even talking about skill. I'm not saying who's the better boxer. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm just saying you take person A and person B. Person B has been around elite level athletes since he was tiny, since he's young, since his wrestling days, since he had a little lycra on and the earmuffs,
the afro coming out.
The afro. So I just feel like that experience, that environment, it will pay dividends. It's invaluable because you can talk about skill. You can, and let's be honest, you know as well as anyone can be made to look good on pads. So sometimes you see a 20-second clip and people are like, oh, he looks really good there. When you're talking about like Paul, well,
this is the thing, right? This is the thing, and it's not just in pads. You say if you're fighting someone that's not as good as you, you can look very, very good when you're actually not as good. There's levels, you know, like you can light someone who's shit up, and then you can get in there with someone who can actually throw punches and can move, and you just look bang average for the skill level that you are. It takes years of dedication to get to the level of Ben Askren, not necessarily in striking, right, but in any selected combat endeavor that you want to go into. So Jake Paul's been training 3 years. He trains hard by all accounts, but it's just the time gap. He's a little that plays into it perhaps, but Ben Askren knows how to compete. He knows how to win. He knows how to push a pace. You got to think some of the guys that he stood there across from, like he's not going to be scared of a Jake Paul of the world. I get he hits hard and he can throw punches, but look at what Robbie Lawler did to Ben Askren, and he survived that and managed to choke him out, albeit a bit controversial. But guy's got a chin. Guy knows how to win.
He's got a big chin as well, by the way. He has a very solid jaw. Very prominent jaw. And what I would say, just to sort of follow up on what I touched upon earlier, is yes, I'm going to keep saying Paul because I know I'm going to keep saying the wrong one. Jake Paul. Yes, we know Jake Paul's been training or competing for several years now. But, and there is always a but. Like we just said about Ben Askren, he's not been training. He's not been like competing. He's been going through relentless training camps to fight arguably the hardest geezers in the world. And that's a very, very different thing from rocking up to train each day. No matter how hard you train, when you don't necessarily have that in front of you, that goal at the end of the road, there's no one in this world that can tell me that person A will walk into the gym on a Monday and train just as hard with nothing planned in the future as someone who has a UFC fight against someone that could potentially just kill him in a cage or sides. The level of training will just be on a different level. I think the competitiveness will just be on a different level. I just think everything, and again, excluding skill, is just going to be at a level that Jake Paul's never seen.
I agree. I want to play devil's advocate here.
You've got
I want to play it. What we have seen from Jake Paul is he can perform under the lights. He really can. He knows that everyone wants to see him get knocked out, right? If you don't really watch him or anyone that's not over familiar with his content, he's an arsehole. He's a prick. He's arrogant. Like, he's not liked. And he plays into that. And he knows that that's why people want to see him fight and get stopped. But you can only go off performances that we've seen, and he performs under the lights. He really does. He's a showman, and he's putting in the work. So you've got to give it to him in that respect. But it's an interesting fight. I don't know what's going to happen. I think there is one beautiful thing that we can take from this.
Certainly.
We're going to find out.
We certainly are. As always, drop your comments in the comment section. Obviously, that's where they would belong. Drop a subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And any sort of interaction whatsoever is just very much appreciated because it helps us to grow our channel and keep doing what we love. So, peace.